That's a great start.
That's clipped.
All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Arrive and Drive. I'm Zach. That's Jordan and moderator Nate. How we doing, fellas?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah.
That was whoa.
Words out of my mouth.
That was solid. That was solid.
Timing is on point today. I will tell you what.
Great minds think alike. That's kind of scary for you, Jordan, but it's fine though.
So you guys missed it about 5 minutes ago. I was running down the steps because I had to go to the bathroom before we started recording, and I sprained my ankle, I think. My ankle was very sore. We had a great weekend of motorsports. NASCAR was at Fontana, the Xfinity and Cup Series. What a race. What race is. Indycar was at St. Pete. We had not only Indycar, but we had the Road to Indy, and we also had some MX-5 and also Trans Am, I think. So
yeah, it was
pretty
crazy.
awesome. We got a little bit of F1 news to talk about. That's been a hot topic the last week or so. We've also got a guest this week joining us. This kid is a hot shoe. Bright future ahead of him. Reid Sweeney is here. Reid, how we doing, buddy?
Great, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited.
Yes, sir. So, for context, for people that don't know who Reid is, Reid just recently moved up from junior to senior class in karting. A very accomplished racer in the Ignite program. 4-time Gateway Kartplex Ignite junior champion. So, basically, every year that he was eligible to run junior, he won the championship. I believe also a 4-time Ignite Challenge Ignite junior champion. I believe you also won some championships in the rookie category. A lot of races. And then your first time in a major in the senior class, you raced the Daytona and won. I mean, how's that been like? You know, you go from racing junior where there might be maybe 10 kids, and then you go to race a major at Daytona in senior where there's like 40 people.
Yeah. It's a huge step up for sure. And I was, I'm not going to deny that I wasn't nervous. I felt a little nervous, but I think coming out of the weekend, I think it was a big confidence boost because, of course, like winning, and then we finished second in the second race right behind Evan. And, I think it was, of course, a great weekend. I had a really good fight with Gavin Bailiff. Fortunately, I ended up coming across the line first in that race, and, it's a great experience as well, big confidence boost coming into the 2022 season, and hopefully we can have some more wins under our belt this year.
And it wasn't like that race was just an easy drive. I mean, it was kind of a back and forth. Both races, really. It was back and forth between you and Stommer and Gavin, and Jed Perkins was up there. I mean, it wasn't just like you drove away from it. You had to drive your butt off to, kind of battle these guys throughout the race. And where racecraft, I think especially at a place like Daytona, is incredibly crucial. I mean, kind of convey to our viewers what it's like to race at a track like that, especially the low grip levels, the transitions in the pavement. Kind of explain that to us.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty bumpy. It's probably one of the bumpiest tracks you can race at, besides of like the street courses and stuff. But it's also great because it's not a club circuit, so that's no one's home track. Nobody races there throughout the year, and that's the one event where it takes place at. So everybody's kind of on a level playing field. You'll go to like a local track, and the local guys will be really, really quick, but there it's just kind of all the same, and it really depends on how well you can adapt to the circuit. So I think we adapted well. I've been there a couple times, and it's a great experience with the the scenery and everything. And I had to fight pretty hard. I ended up I started first for that race after the pre-final, and I got passed pretty early on, and I just kind of decided I was gonna sit behind him a little bit, and I piece by piece, little by little, we started kind of pulling away from the guys behind us. Stommer was battling with a couple guys, so me and Gavin were able to pull away a little bit, and Yeah, and then I was leading into the last corner, and I really didn't know what to do. I just kind of guessed. I didn't know if I wanted to defend and take the tight line through the corner, or just kind of maybe try and hold it on the outside if he was going to go down the inside. But I decided to go low is what you would usually do in an event like that. And I look to my left and I see him, and at the last second I gotta turn in. Then he's like on my inside, and I'm like, what the freak is going on? So he jumps through the grass and he like hits me, and we go kind of sideways, but I was able to hang on, and fortunately we didn't get wrecked. But I mean, he's a great driver, and he has a lot of respect for guys out there, and he'll throw moves on you, and he almost did.
Yeah.
Didn't that happen on, was it day 2?
That was day 1.
Didn't he hit you in like the pre-final or something?
In day 2, he said he got hit by a guy behind him in turn 1, and he was sideways and he drove over the top of me.
Yeah.
There's a photo of it where he's like in the air sideways.
Yeah.
But he came up to me after and he was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry about that. I think I got hit from behind." I didn't know at that point, and usually over years ago I would have thrown my hands up and gotten all mad, and because that's what I used to do. I used to think I was like a NASCAR driver or something, or a pro driver, and all that stuff. Like
Italian
it was it was the Indy 500, and I was, but I just kept on going, and I ended up getting 6th in that pre-final. So we started a little bit further behind, and I think Gavin started 16th.
Yeah, he drove through the field.
He drove through the field.
Certainly.
And me and Evan came to the line side by side a little bit, and that was pretty awesome.
So that's the thing about Daytona is that you come off the final corner and come into the main straightaway. Most tracks, the main straightaway straight. Daytona, it's got a curve to it all the way down the whole front straightaway into turn 1. So for like Evan to try to get to your inside, you almost have to be in the grass in order to pass someone. And I've been on that side too, where I've been shoved off in the grass because no one knows you're there, or you're going through the grass because you get a huge run and you don't want to ruin your momentum. So you try to go to the grass just to get to the inside and hope to come back on the racetrack before the entry to the corner.
So it's actually interesting coming to the line. I remember watching this because I was in turn 1, kind of looking back at the last corner, trying to get some shots. And Evan ducks low coming out of the last corner to defend, obviously, right? Because, like you said, it's like a dog leg. So if Reid's able to jump to his inside, that he's taking the shorter line. Well, Evan ducks over really early, and Reid's able to carry his momentum around I don't know if you remember this, Reid, but like you were able to carry your momentum a little bit more on the outside, just kind of straight lining it a little bit more. And I think Evan only won that by like half cart length, maybe.
It was around. It might have been a little more, I think, but
it was close. You guys were side by side at the line.
Yeah.
So I mean, we know where you are now. You're going into your first full season of senior karting. But kind of take us back a little bit to where it all started from you, because if I remember correctly, you're Kartplex made, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so take us back. I think it was the first full season of Kartplex, which would have been 2015, because the first technical season of Kartplex, Gateway Kartplex, was 2014, but they only did a fall season. The first full season was 2015, so this would have been the first year of the Ignite series, the first full year at least. I believe that was your first year of karting, yeah?
Yeah, so I did race the 4, I think it was around 3 or 4 races in 2014.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'd always wanted to race as a kid. Like, I always talked to my dad trying to get him to buy me a little kid kart or whatever. But at that point, I was a little, like, bigger, so, like, taller, and he said, maybe we wait till I can grow into like a cadet size kart. And on my 8th birthday, I didn't even expect it at all. I walked outside of the sunroom here, and there it was, just sitting on the patio, and I was freaking out. But that was my first year. I raced with Aiden Ruse Evans and Spike Colbecker. Those were the 2 kids in rookie. and Evan was in junior at that point, and he was racing by himself. So you can make fun of him for getting a free championship, racing by himself.
Well, let's add context to this quick. So, like, for people that don't know what we're actually talking about, the Ignite program is a spec karting program based in St. Louis. It originated in St. Louis. It's now grown all over the country. It's grown to like New York, Nebraska, Idaho, Ohio, Indiana. So in Illinois,
however,
Missouri.
The karts, however, are still manufactured in St. Louis.
Manufactured in St. Louis in the United States, and it originated at Gateway Kartplex, which is inside of Worldwide Technology Raceway. So they got their season, their kart track. Their first season was 2014. It was a partial season, and then first full year was 2015. So this wasn't a kart club that was established that added the Ignite program. This was a kart club that grew from the ground up, and the Ignite program grew with it. So, adding context to what Reid is saying, Evan was the only junior. Reid was one of 3 rookie karts, or what we know as like cadet, sportsman, that class.
Yeah.
So you're racing with the same 2 guys. I know you dabbled a little bit in 2-cycle. I know you started running, traveling a little bit. When did this happen? When did you start traveling? When did you start running other than just Ignite?
Well, after the 2015 season at Gateway, I won the championship in rookie, and I think I won the Super Comp championship as well that year. But then my dad was like, maybe we should get you into some 2-stroke stuff, and personally, I think we were way over our head. I can just remember vividly probably a couple weeks before Daytona in 2015. I was like, man, I can probably get a top 5 in this, and I thought I was one of the best, I guess, because I won the championship at Gateway. And we went there, and it was just the biggest eye-opener for me. I didn't know what I was doing driving around, and there were so many karts. And, we did the 2016 season, which would have included 2015 at Daytona. And we did Ignite along with that. But on 2017, we actually took a break from Ignite, and we decided that we were going to run strictly 2-stroke at WKA and Super Comp. And it just didn't really work out that well. We were just kind of driving around mid-pack, and we couldn't get anywhere near the front, really. So in 2018, we're like, maybe we should get back into Ignite. And, I had a rough first couple of races. I wasn't really used to the Ignite kart at that point since I'd taken a year off, and it's a lot different than like a 2-stroke.
Because that was your
soft
first year
tires.
Junior, right?
Yes, so 2018.
You moved from the K2 to the K3, and there's a year gap.
Yep. So we run the first year junior, and I think I won 5 races that year. And I ended up winning the championship that year, and I won the.
I'm trying to think who all was in it. Who all ran junior that year?
This is 17, right?
This is 2018.
So Trevor
this
was
there. Okay.
Trevor
was there. Yeah, Pryor was there.
Trevor.
Haley Todenhop was probably there.
And Emily and Dylan Ellsworth were in there as well.
Yeah, the Ellsworths.
Yeah,
I think
they were
Dylan
there.
came close to winning the championship that year, didn't he?
Yes. He was, yeah.
He was like second or third.
Yep.
Yeah, so junior that year was pretty stacked.
It was. I think we had like the most karts at that point in time.
Really?
It's starting to kind of rise up again. These last couple years, but in 2018 we won, and then we went to 2019 and we, started to race again, and then we won that championship. I won the Brickyard that year, which was pretty cool.
That's
in
right.
Ignite Junior. That was a surreal experience. It was awesome. And then 2020 was another kind of eye opener for me, actually. And I've never really said this to anybody, but Isaac Wells and the rookie guys that moved up. To be completely honest with you, I was thinking, I'm probably the best, so nothing's going to happen. And it was crazy because they were fast right out of the gate, and I was very surprised, actually. And Isaac and Owen Elders, just it was mind blown because they had probably a year's worth of experience and they were already very quick. So then I had to step my game up, and yeah, that was a good year. We won the championship that year as well, but we lost a couple races in the challenge to I think Christian Weir won at Autobahn one year, and then one race, and then Isaac won the other one. 2021 was more the same as 2020. We won the Kartplex championship and the challenge, but not easily at all. It was pretty close, especially in the challenge. And Isaac came on the scene. He was really, really fast. So good fights with him, and then we moved up to senior, and that's where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, like Isaac, to kind of add some context, I mean, Ryan Bierke was on our show last week, and he said Isaac is the best driver that he's ever worked with, that he's personally, driver coach tuned. He said Isaac is the best that he's worked with. So, I mean, I take that with a lot of value because Ryan obviously is a national 2-cycle champion back in his day. But yeah, Isaac, like I was impressed by him too when he first moved up to junior and was fast. For him to even be in the same zip code as you, says a lot.
Yeah, because I'll add context to this. The first time Isaac and his family came up to Audubon to race the challenge race, I was expecting Reid to kind of just, do his own thing, kind of pull away. He may get some, pressure behind him, but I don't think anybody was going to be able to have enough to get past him. But once Isaac kind of took the lead and, Pryor was kind of up there as well with him, it kind of opened my eyes a little bit saying, wow, Reid's actually got competition to race against. He's got to actually work for it if he wants to get some of these wins. And you've seen kind of over the past year or two that the competition in junior has ramped up quite a bit to where, like you said, Reid, you've had to step up your game quite a bit in order to just stay out in front and win some of these races, because now it takes a little bit more skill than just producing fast laps lap after lap. Now it takes a little bit of, racecraft that has to go into it in order to win these races.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys want to move on to the next thing here? We'll be here forever, Reid. You got a lot of stuff to talk about, obviously. But I do have one more question to ask really quick, Nate. One more question. And Reid's now obviously moving up to senior this year. The one question I ask is, you've had experience now at Daytona racing in the senior class. What's like the biggest difference between your move from junior to senior that you witnessed up at Daytona? Tough question, I know.
Do you mean like
competition wise, or just like what have you had to change in your driving in between the transition from junior to senior?
Bigger kids.
I would say, a lot of lead on the cart now.
he said a lot of lead on the cart.
Well, for sure, competition. I mean, that's probably the biggest one. The cart isn't too much different. It feels, mostly the same, just a little bit wider tires and,
carb slide.
Carb slide. So a little bit faster in the straights, but it's not really too noticeable. But the competition, for sure, at Daytona, I really, learned a lot. Especially defending was a big thing, cutting off kind of the turn one, where everybody kind of sends it in there in turn one. You got to be on your toes when guys are behind you and closing and all over your bumper, because it's kind of simple to throw it in there if you're alongside before the brake zone. And also just the aggression portion, in junior I would always kind of, wait and then pass people, where it's easiest the most, in a straight line or, a braking zone that's relatively simple. But, the defending portion and staying quick while defending and making sure that you can stay behind these guys, my thought process was, yeah, I could stay behind a dude, but maybe he's way faster, and then I'm getting pulled from. So at that point, I would kind of decide to just pass him and just move on and keep going and try and see how far I can get. Like, that was the big thing when I had to kind of go through the field in the pre-final, was just, I would like to work with people, but at the same time, you just kind of have to go. So
yeah,
making sure that the passes were clean and making sure that I could hold my position was really the most important aspect of that race.
Yeah, that's one big. Go ahead, Jack.
That's what I've noticed with senior is with the fields being so big and also competitive, like, you can't really let a pass develop. If you see an opening, you have a run, you have to take it, because if you defer that opportunity, you leave the door open to get passed by somebody else, and it kind of becomes one of those chess games of patience, but also you have to have, I guess, calculated aggression and take opportunities as they come.
And I think, to add on your point here, Zach, I think another thing that Reid, you touched on a little bit, was the level of commitment. And I think the difference between junior and senior, that is, juniors, if they see an opening, they may go into a corner and just, let's say, half-ass it and go into the corner and just like stick a bumper in there alongside you, and then they'll just back out at like the last second, or they don't fully commit to it. Whereas senior, they see that opening, they're gonna throw the whole cart in there.
You're getting put in the grass,
and you're getting pushed out of the way.
You're gonna make another Zach Buchanan meme in the freaking corner. Let me tell you right now. We're gonna. Jeez.
There's no cornfield I think Daytona.
Sorry. You're same thing, but the lake. I don't know.
Yeah. So,
the lake.
What are your plans beyond karting? I know you've gone to Luke Soul School of Racing a little bit. I mean, what you got maybe in the works?
Nothing too much yet. I think we're just kind of seeing. I think we're kind of leaning or focusing kind of where Evan's going a little bit. He tried the Road to Indy thing, and he was. I don't mean to be like mean or anything, but exactly.
Yeah.
And then he's moving to WRL, and he did pretty good in his first race. So I think.
Speaking of the devil.
Oh my goodness me!
Our viewership is went straight through the roof. Our viewership is straight through the roof right now.
I was just talking trash on you, Evan.
253.
Ladies and gentlemen, Evan Stammer has joined the call.
These guys finished 1-2 at Daytona, and they're about to throw down on the Evan Drive podcast.
I said I let you win.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about the one championship too that you had.
The junior championship, yeah.
Yep.
Wait, so
Reid got it for free.
If we're throwing shade around quick, I remember hearing a story that, Reid, when you were back in rookie, that there were race days that you would tell your dad that you wanted to go home because you were tired. Is that true?
See, here's the thing. I think that happened. So Keith Sharp, if you don't know him, he likes to tell the story a lot. But I think I do remember this. I think at the first time I ever drove the kart. So Keith Freeber was actually driving in front of me, and I was following him around the track. I didn't really fit in the kart. I was actually kind of too small. So it wasn't the most comfortable thing. Well, the thing is,
I wanted to throw shade, but I didn't want to. Since Zach said that, though, I was going to ask.
It was a rookie kart. It was a rookie kart.
Was this last year or this year? Zach started throwing shade first. Okay, I just want to. Okay, continue. Reid, good story.
All right. So they had to actually stuff, like a helmet bag full of crap and throw it in there. And it was
safety.
Yeah, it was part of the fact that I couldn't really go as fast as I wanted to, sort of thing. There's a video of my dad actually yelling at me, saying I was going too fast, like behind Keith, because I was following him kind of close and whatnot. But
jeez,
I think that was partially the reason. I do remember running, like when I first started running the Tag 60, that I would say I was tired. I do remember that. I don't remember as much the Ignite. I'm sure I did say it at one point. But that is kind of, I guess, where that story originates from.
That's crazy. So let's use that as a segue. So we do this segment every week, and we like to get our guests' input on this segment. So every segment we do something called "Dumb Things to Do on the Racetrack." So I always use my example because I think it's the dumbest, and it provides a pretty clear picture, I think. So my example was my dumb thing to do on the racetrack was I crashed into a cornfield. So, Reid, we want your own personal experience of something that you've done or something that you've seen on the racetrack that you thought was just like, wow, that's the epitome of stupid.
Time to throw more shade around.
Dude, I can sit here.
Hold on,
I can sit here for 5 hours.
Hold on, Evan's here. He's got his gun fully loaded here. He's ready.
All right, say it, Evan.
No, go ahead. I still got
No, I want to hear your input first. What do you say?
No, I gotta solidify. I gotta put some thought into it, but I can.
Okay.
We gotta hear it from the man himself, Reid.
There's a lot of stupid things I've seen, and done. And Zach, you're actually here for this one. I guess I'll say this because it's probably the dumbest thing I've. Yeah, it's probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. So
okay, let's hear it.
It was a test day over at Gateway. This was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Oh, I know.
And I'm driving a K100 with the senior manifold.
I was here for this. Oh my god!
You were right on the barriers right next to it.
I was the one watching the track of
Zach,
North Pole.
yeah.
I was in North. I was close to North.
That was funny. Oh,
I remember that video.
Continue. Sorry, I remember that.
Anyways,
sorry.
Senior manifold and no weight. So every time I'd step on the gas, I'd feel like I'm in a sprint car. Like the thing wouldn't turn when I hit the gas. And back then, it was 2 years ago. Whatever. I really couldn't hang on to a K100. I'm very skinny. So every time I would drive, especially turn 3, it's kind of like a long sweeper.
Yeah.
At Gateway.
Is that flat out?
In the K100, in the KA, yeah.
Yeah.
It was hurting my neck, so I'm like all day I'm like this through the corner after 4 laps. I'm not purposely doing that. It was just because my neck hurts so bad. But I actually went out it was my out lap actually. And day had gone completely fine, and I just went down into the North Pole. It's a long sweeping left-hander and then a right-hander. It's also probably on the normal layout of Gateway, probably the biggest braking zone, or turn 1.
Definitely the most technical on the normal layout.
Yeah. So I go into the corner, and I broke late. I don't know why. I was on my out lap, but I just remember going straight. And then I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on, so I hit the brakes as hard as I could, and the back end stepped out, and I just right into the barrier. Bent a spindle and a tie rod, and I hit with the back first and then the front. So sorry if you can hear my dog barking. I don't know. I did kind of a tank slapper, so it didn't feel great. But there went a spindle and a tie rod, and I don't think I've driven that kart ever since.
I don't know if they let you.
You still have it?
Well, yeah, I do still have it. I don't know if we ever replaced the spindle. We actually bent the spindle back as straight as we could.
Didn't you crash twice
that day? Well, that's because a kid spun out in front of me, and I tried to avoid him, and he clipped my rear tire and popped me up in the air a little bit, but I didn't break anything there.
Gotcha.
I also had kind of another moment. I don't know if I should go on about this, but it was just at Midstate and the Tag 60s, and I went through the last corner, and I got loose, and I saved it, and then it just totally snapped, and I hit the wall back first, and I spun like a top. And I remember my hands coming off the wheel, so I'm like this.
My dad had that happen before. My dad has had the same thing where his hands just come up in the air. If you go to Midstate, the bottom fence pole is bent because of me. So maybe I should sign my name right there.
I think if we're including this segment iRacing, I think me and Reid can make a whole entire book about this. Because I think
if it's iRacing, it's done.
I know, but because
I
know, but like right now, this at least like the last like month now, it's been like almost like every other night, me, Reid, and Jake on Discord playing iRacing, and it's the funniest thing, dude. Playing with him and Jake, mainly Jake, but it's just like yesterday. I haven't played iRacing in like a week, so I'm on last night. We're doing Long Beach like a hosted session. And I think I was in there for at least a half an hour or 45 minutes. Didn't finish. I'm trying to be serious. Didn't finish one lap because this kid keeps hitting me and Jake.
We were actually practicing for your race, Zach, at Long Beach in the Indycar, and Nate gets in. He's like, "Dude, look at my paint scheme. I made this cool paint scheme." Sick. And he's like, "I'm gonna run some actual laps here."
I want to do good.
And when you say that, me and Jake just instantly wreck you. Like,
it's awful.
And so we were just like, he was driving down the pit lane, and I would drive down the pit lane at full speed and just plow into the back of him. And then he said, "You do that one more time, I'm getting off." And then he actually got off for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, literally was like, I'm getting off, guys. I got off. I went to the bathroom for a little bit. All right, guys, I'm back. What are we doing now?
Just went to the bathroom for 15 minutes.
Dude, Jordan, bro, it was a long. Dude, I was a little upset. Okay.
He was doing his makeup.
Yeah, so exactly, dude.
Last weekend was St. Petersburg. So not only did we have IndyCar, but we had the road to Indy. So let's jump into Wings and Things. For our first part of Wings and Things, let's talk about USF 2000. So like the road to Indy is always really stacked. I mean, Evan can attest to that. USF stacked as always. A little less cars this year, I think, because they have the new Halo. They had 19 cars. And first race actually was pretty insane. I was watching it Friday. Top 3 under a blanket, final lap, going to turn 1. And Miles Rowe and Thomas, is it Neveau or Netvu?
Nevu.
Is that? Okay.
Yeah, it's French.
Okay, so Thomas and Miles Rowe get into it, and Jace Denmark wins with damage. He actually had a broken front wing, and I think he also got the left front corner. But anyways, pretty big crash, side-by-side crash in the 2-3 complex coming onto the backstretch. And then Miles comes back from that crash 2 days later on Sunday to win, which was actually pretty cool. Indy Pro was interesting. Jordan made his debut as a full-time Indy Pro 2000 driver for Pabst Racing. Jordan, kind of take us through that weekend, because I know you said it was kind of a struggle.
Yeah.
But you guys had a really good race too, and you drove up to P8.
Yeah. So credit to the Pabst guys for what they've been able to do with our cars, and their USF 2000 program has been almost untouched basically at St. Pete. They were probably the 2 fastest cars on the grid, besides the fact of Thomas being good and so good in race 1. To add context to your story really quick before we talk about me, is that Miles is actually on a limited amount of budget since he's not with Force Indy with Roger Bensky's team anymore. He's actually on a limited budget, and that crash probably actually took half that budget away. So
they did talk about that on the broadcast.
For him to come back with that win was huge in his favor, because that might actually potentially save his season right there, because he was only going to make it past, I think, Barber, Indianapolis. That was what he was planned to do. So now that might actually save his season. Going on to Indy Pro, we struggled quite a bit with just pace a little bit. Colin Kaminsky, my teammate, he was able to put in some good laps, was able to put in the 3rd fastest lap in race 1 and be right up there for race 2. But me and Yuvan were just kind of struggling throughout the course of the weekend. But once we got into race 2, we actually made the cars was quite a bit better, to where it handled just much better under braking. And we were actually able to make some spots and run up to the field. So credit to those guys for putting on such a good car for us and making us being able to race to the pack. But it was Josh Green who came out with the win in Indy Pro 2000 in race 1, and Nolan Siegel who got race number 2 to get his first win of the season. And that's honestly good for Nolan, because it took him 3 years to get his first win in USF 2000, and now it only takes him 2 races to get his first win in Indy Pro.
Yeah, I remember seeing him move up, and I was like, "Ooh, that's interesting." Like, I mean, he was kind of due for it, but he won 1 race in 3 years, and he jumps up and right off the bat wins. I was like, "All right, that's pretty cool."
Yeah.
I think didn't Josh crash in the race that he didn't win? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Or he had some sort of issue.
No, that was his teammate Jonathan Brown crash.
Okay.
He had some sort of issue with the front corner.
Yeah.
I think it was like his front wing or a corner or something. He had to come into the pits and he went like 3 laps down. So that kind of took him out of the race in race 2.
Gotcha. And there was a pretty big wreck. I think it was in race 2 for USF. I believe it was Dylan Christie spun.
Yeah.
And he collected his teammate, Bajoy Garg, 2 D-Force drivers. And Christian Weir, one of our guests from a couple weeks ago, he got collected in his Turn 3 motorsport car. And also, there's one other guy that got swept up in it.
I think it was Jackson Lee.
Jackson Lee, yeah, for Cape. Yeah, that had the potential to be really bad, too, because that was just in a blind corner.
Yeah, it was both D-Force cars just going for, obviously, the same position, going into turn 8, which is probably Evan can attest to it, too, the tightest corner on the racetrack, I would say, because the walls are just so narrow in that corner.
Yeah, I even had a awakening there. On entry in the right-hander, I went in a little too deep and locked up, and I was like, oh, I'm not turning. I, at the last second, released the brake, and it oh, man, that was a pucker moment. But, yeah, that's probably the most hazardous part of the track right there, I would say at least.
It's tough to go too wide in that section, for sure.
Yeah.
So then we move on to the Indy Lights race that happened on that Sunday morning, and that was an interesting race.
Brabham won. Dude, that was cool.
That's your buddy, Evan.
Yeah.
That was cool to see him come back, because, he raced Indy Lights 2014. He ran one race 2015. And then after that, never ran Indy Lights again. He ran the 500 2016. Actually, he ran Indy GP that year also. But aside from that, he pretty much ran Stadium Super Trucks up until this year. And when I remember seeing that he was coming back, I'm like, man, it's been so many years. How's he going to do? And I know it was because Christian had an issue. He ran out of fuel. But that's really awesome for Matty to come back and get a win. Feel bad for Rasmussen, though, because clearly I think he was the best car, but it's awesome for Matty.
That is our Ben Axel and broken heart moment of this week is Christian Rasmussen running on a field with 2 laps to go. Basically had the race locked up, if you ask me. But because now with the partnership of IndyCar and Indy Lights now being under the IndyCar banner, they decided to extend the race to almost half distance of what the actual IndyCar race is, kind of like what NASCAR does with their Xfinity series. And because they don't do pit stops in this series, they need to make it the race long enough to where it's technically still a sprint race, but you go to the max fuel load and the max amount of tire wear. So the Cooper tires are actually being punished all the way to its limit this year.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, now that we're basically going all the way to the brim on fuel, it's crucial that these teams put every single last bit of drop into these cars so they can make it to the end on fuel. Otherwise, you end up like Christian Rasmussen with 2 laps to go.
Now, I have a question. Does anybody know the Indy Lights car? Are you able to adjust the fuel mix like you can the Indy car? Because we got pushed to pass. Okay,
you do have push to pass.
So that's why I say that, because fuel calculations. I mean, it doesn't matter if you can't make pit stops, but in terms of the race length, that's clearly an issue on IndyCar's part if they're making the race length that long and people are running out of gas. So.
But it also, I think, kind of adds a little bit of strategy to it, because I think it kind of teaches the drivers to do something they've never really done before, and that's fuel saving they can do sometimes. Most of these sprint races, it's go as fast as you can until the length of the race, until the race is over. Whereas now that these races are longer, you may get some fuel strategy coming into where people have to start fuel saving if they get these bigger leads, or if they start using the push to pass button too often to get that extra 50 horsepower.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that. I guess my only counter argument to that is, since those cars don't typically make pit stops, I mean, they can. It's just very long. My counter argument to that is if they aren't able to efficiently do pit stops normally, then I don't feel like we should be testing the limits quite to that extent on fuel. Because if somebody has to pit for fuel late in the race, their entire race is gone. I mean, it is kind of anyways, but like you probably lose a lap, I would say.
Easy. I mean, well, especially if it's that late in the race, you wouldn't have to add that much fuel just to make it to the end. You may be able to splash like maybe quick 5 to 10 seconds worth of fuel into the car just to make it to the end. But you're still on pit road, losing a ton of time to the race itself already. Your race is pretty much over no matter what.
And that's if you don't run out of fuel coming into the pits and then have to restart the car.
Exactly.
I'm just happy that I really hope Maddie wins this championship. I just want him to see him get an actual chance in IndyCar. He's got a strong connection with Andretti. And, I just really want him to get another chance at it. He's such a good driver. I mean, he's been out – he's driven like old Van Diemens and Indy Pro 2000 cars, like just testing for Cape and that. But, that's impressive for him to even be that competitive.
And the dude's 28. Let's not get that wrong. Like, the dude could still, for a 28-year-old, could still drive and be in the IndyCar series. Granted, now we see a lot of these kids like David Malukas, Kyle Kirkwood, who come in at young 20s. Matty Bravum's still at the age of 28, he's experienced, mature. Sponsors would definitely love him. He'd definitely be able to be a peacemaker. Yeah, he may not be in IndyCar as long as Malukas and Kirkwood, but he still has a rightful place to be in IndyCar just as well as they do.
So let's think about this for a second. Definitely. Robert Wickens, his rookie season in IndyCar, he was 28 at the beginning of the season. With no road to Indy experience, he was a Red Bull junior driver way back in the day, but he ran primarily DTM, so those heavy sports cars, and then comes over to be the teammate to James Hinchcliffe in the United States in IndyCar, and was, for a rookie, by rookie standards, I think was lights out. He had several podiums, almost won in his first start, and was very competitive, unfortunately, until his accident at Pocono. But another great example that you don't have to be super young to come into IndyCar and be successful.
Exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Sorry, Nate, I'm taking your job here for a minute.
Hey, it's all good.
Move on to the next topic, and we'll talk a little bit about F1 since now the final paint scheme and livery has been revealed. F1, send it or pull the reins, which is our new topic or new segment that we brought in. And it's F1 saves the best livery for last with Alfa Romeo. Zach, I want to get your opinion on this. Do we think Alfa Romeo is the best F1 scheme to be released?
I'll be honest, I haven't even seen it.
Really? You haven't seen it yet?
All right,
I have not
now
seen
to me. All right.
Go to Nate.
Let me tell you right now. Who typed this?
What?
Who typed F1 saves the best livery for last?
I did. It's a topic discussion. Yes or no? Send it or pull the reins.
Oh, easily pull the reins. I'd pull them. Yes, no. Have you seen the Aston Martin?
Beautiful. Nate is crushing over this Aston Martin.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
right.
Have you seen the Aston Martin? No.
Yeah. Dude, okay, you know what? I'm going to throw shade at somebody because, like, why not? Speaking like a British person, dude, God, I wanted to punch Trevor today in Modern 1 history. All this kid would do, bro. Dude, that's all that kid would do was talk British. He ran in the middle of the class. That was a conversation. And he goes, "Oh, is that right in it?" I'm like, dude.
So
sorry.
Nate, why is Aston Martin better than the Alfa Romeo?
Because it's just gorgeous. The lime green on it is so much better.
It's not gorgeous.
Dude, okay, it's amazing. And honestly, okay, what do you think, Zach?
Pull the reins. It's not the best one.
No, it's not. I think
so. It's really good though. It is really good though. I like it.
But it's not the best.
I think Ferrari is better.
Ferrari is really good. Yeah.
I think Ferrari's got the coolest design.
Yeah.
Arrow-wise, I
think Haas is really, really nice too.
Are we going off scheme or are we going off car?
Going off scheme.
Yeah, scheme.
We're going off scheme.
Alfa Romeo's a close second or third to me.
What's your first?
I would say Ferrari. I would put Mercedes up there too. You can't.
Yeah,
I feel like McLaren hasn't got enough love though too. Sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't know why everybody.
McLaren is just really different. I like them. I like how different McLaren's. But Williams is obviously different. I respect it, but I think McLaren's is nice too.
The thing with McLaren is what's really weird is that when they brought the golf scheme for Monaco last year, everybody explosively loved it. Like they wanted die-cast versions of it. They wanted that car to be like their primary car for next year. Mm-hmm. Then they bring a scheme that's kind of very similar to it, and now everyone doesn't think it's the best car out there. Which is kind of
that's what I really like the McLaren scheme.
I
think
it looks really, really good. I like how they're when they did their livery job. They also included the Formula E series.
They did the esports
and the Indycar too, so that was pretty cool.
Esports F1 car and the Indycar and
it was too.
And the extreme E.
Yeah, I like the Mercedes back to the silver now. For talking about liveries real fast.
That's
I like that. The black one was really cool, but I like their silver though.
Yeah, good change of color, in my opinion. I didn't expect to like the Mercedes livery as much as I do. I don't know if it's the best. I really do like every year I've liked the AlphaTauri liveries, to be personally honest with you. I just like that darker blue and the white. I think it goes really good.
Yeah, I think Alpine's is crap.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. The worst paint scheme in this because Alpine's got that one.
Dude, it's all what is it? BWT is that what it is? That's yeah.
They ruin every livery.
Oh, can I mention real fast though? The only reason I would say Alfa Romeo, I think these paint schemes all together are so good. But I really will respect Alfa Romeo's wheel covers. How they are two different colors, the red and the white. It looks super clean, and the cursive writing of Alfa Romeo. Oh, that's a nice touch on it.
I think every team missed an opportunity on that Alfa Romeo capitalized, and it was designing the wheel covers to match the paint scheme.
Yeah, it's even like Alpine's is pretty awful, like we said, but Alpine's wheel cover is just straight black too.
Yeah,
I feel like McLaren has the light blue. Mercedes, I'm pretty sure, is just black as well. Ferrari's just black. Williams is just black as well. I really wish Williams was red because Williams is like the dark blue but tying a lot of red. I wanted to see the red wheel covers with it, but they didn't do it.
Like I said, I think all the teams missed the opportunity that Alfa Romeo capitalized, which was paint the wheel covers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Multiple colors too.
Mercedes has the AMG on the side.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they got the AMG and some design on it.
Yeah.
What I really do like is in the little spokes. There's on the back side of the car, how it kind of fades to the little the Mercedes logo. There's all the last 2 years. There's always been a red one. And it's for Niki Lauda. I think that's really cool, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, it's a very nice touch.
So while we're on the topic...
Haas looks great.
While we're on the topic of send it or pull the reins. Nate. Okay, we're going to get to that.
Sorry. It actually looks better, honestly, being fully white.
It kind of looks group clean. Earlier, you'd understand this completely because Nate and I absolutely lit each other up. But we're going to get that later. While we're on the topic of send it or pull the reins, let's talk about Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, that whole deal. So, for context, Kyle Larson makes a late block, and what actually was later, it later came out that Larson wasn't even really trying to block Chase Elliott. It was more of Kyle Larson's spotter didn't really say that he was outside, and Larson was side drafting Joey Logano, and then he tried to pull away from Logano to come up to get away from him so he can't side draft him back. And then he heard late that car high, and that's when he put Chase Elliott in the fence. Chase Elliott spins out. So the question, fellas, send it or pull the reins? Chase Elliott brings out the late race yellow due to Kyle Larson putting him in on the wall. Jordan, start with you.
It's very peculiar because the first thing when Chase spun is I was looking at was the left and right rear tires to see if they were actually flat because that felt like the only way he would actually spin. But after looking at it too, when he hit the wall the first time, his car was, I wouldn't say was messed up. Keep in mind, he did hit the wall earlier in the race when he was in the lead. So that was the second time he hit the wall. His car was pretty messed up then. So I feel like his car got messed up, but I don't think it was messed up too bad to where he would lose the car because that was 2 laps after he hit the wall is when he lost it. And I don't think he got put into the wall hard enough to where it would cut down a right rear tire. So not saying he lost it on purpose, but definitely pulled a little bit of a Clint Boyer 2013, turned a little bit too much, put a little bit too much throttle into it, let it go around.
Okay, Reid, throw it to you. Send it or pull the reins.
Well, there's sort of an issue here. I did not watch the NASCAR race. I did see the incident.
Okay.
With Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
Like Jordan was saying, if it takes 2 laps to cut a tire or whatever, I don't really know. I would think it would go down a lot sooner if there was a cut tire. Especially, I don't know, are they running really hard on that on the right side tires at Auto Club? Like, would that tear that up?
See, we really don't know because this is the first year with that car at Auto Club, and really this is the first non-plate race or non-super speedway with this car, under a high load.
The only thing I could kind of go off of is that there wasn't really that many tire failures. I mean,
True.
yeah,
there were a lot of though.
The only thing that I can make sense of why I was saying the way I did to maybe influence Reid's point is that you watch in practice, maybe 3 or 4 cars lost it all on their own. And that kind of influenced me a little bit to make the decision on why I think he spun. But the tire issue, is unbeknownst to me because we didn't see many cut tires or tires go down throughout that race.
So is our question here, Jordan? Like, is it like, do we think Chase Elliott did pulled out the yellow on purpose, or was it like Kyle Larson's fault for hitting? Or what's the kind of the question?
No, did he pull the yellow out on purpose? Basically.
Oh well, okay. I'm looking at this. First of all, Kyle Larson's kind of an idiot for hitting him. Oh my god. Second of all,
well, that's
I saw this. Yeah, but I mean, watching the clip, though, I can see it definitely is. I feel like, but he moves up so quick. No. He moves up so fast. Like, look, I mean, you watch him; he just zooms right up in him, and he's got to have at least some sense that he's there. So
that's not like his car drifting up in the track.
No, not at all.
He had to turn the wheel to the right.
100% he did. And then looking at the clip of him spinning out, man, it's funny because right when the TV cuts to him, he's spinning, goes straight, fully locks it up, spins again, and then goes straight and casually drives straight more.
And I'll add more context.
The way he spun out was super weird.
It's suspicious, kind of, because I'll add context to this again. When after the fact, Chase Elliott did let the field go by, and when Kyle Larson came back to lap Chase was on the outside and basically pushed Larson all the way down to the inside part of the racetrack and basically crowded him all the way to the inside on the apron.
Yeah. I don't think this is usually a Chase Elliott thing to do, but I feel like he's got a lot of anger built up.
Did you hear his in-car?
I know. Well, this video is Chase Elliott furious with Kyle Larson Fontana uncensored, so I haven't listened to it yet. But no, but I'm seeing how frustrated he is. I mean, I could definitely see this being on purpose. I say, what is it, send it? Yeah, I say that's a full. That's a just.
So did we ever
That's a full send. Not even send it.
Verdict.
Oh, Chase was definitely dramatic in that spin.
Yeah, I mean, like it looks like he's doing a burnout freaking or whatever. West Phoenix.
It's a celebration burnout right there.
No way.
So we're all saying this is on purpose then.
Oh, 100%.
I say it's a full send.
Okay, I thought our main discussion was like Kyle Larson hitting him, and I was like, I didn't even honestly know about the caution. I saw the clip of him hitting him. I didn't watch the race.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Because since it's a new car, these cars have been kind of fragile with taking hits, it seems like. I'm gonna play devil's advocate since he'd already been in the wall previously and then he got put in the wall again. I'm not gonna say that he didn't do it on purpose. I'm just gonna say that it's hard to tell because he hit the wall twice, and he even said on his in-car, and this could have just been him embellishing it to give him a reason to spin. But on his in-car, he did say it's broken again. It's broken, and then he spun and it said it's broken. The right rear is broken. So I don't know if he was talking about the wheel, if he was talking about a suspension piece, if he was talking about the tire going down, if it was a slow leak and then it went, because it was 2 laps later. I don't know. It could have very well been on purpose, but considering how many self spins we saw,
100% could have.
Hold on, Nate. Considering how many self spins we saw this weekend and how many accidents we saw just from driver error, just by themselves. I think it's totally possible that he just spun, like not trying to bring out a caution. It's also very possible that he just did it on purpose. So I would say pull the reins just because it's hard to come to a conclusion.
When he hit the wall, was there? I haven't seen it. Was there like a lot of smoke or something after he hit the wall?
Not really. No.
Not really.
It wasn't like there wasn't any tire
I was thinking.
Yeah. No.
Okay, because I was just thinking because I'm looking at the Gen 6 NASCAR, and the fender flares aren't too big, but you look on the next gen car, and on the rear side, or on the rear of the car, there's it sticks out a lot more. So I was thinking if he made side contact with the wall, it could have bent the fender or something. And
I think it definitely could have. The only thing that makes me like really suspicious about it is the way he just does full 2 spins in a row and then catches it and drives like fully like nothing happened. That was the biggest thing to me. That was like crap. But no, it definitely could have been. I mean, we don't even know the second race of the season. Well, third if you want to count, the Coliseum. But because it's still early, so you never can tell. I guess
Larson had a huge lead at the time, and when this yellow came out, don't get me wrong, it made the finish fantastic to watch.
I was so sad for Suarez. I freaking love Daniel Suarez, dude.
But it basically almost took the win away from Larson, which this has happened to Chase Elliott before with Harvick back at Bristol, and we all know how that happened. Where devil's advocate again, Larson gets the win, and Chase Elliott holds up Kevin Harvick, basically costs him a win. I think it's the same way of Chase Elliott trying to maybe screw Larson up for putting him in the wall.
It very well could be. And I'm glad you bring that up, Jordan, because I saw a really stupid tweet that somebody compared that incident to this. However, like in my mind, the incidents aren't really the same.
No.
What Chase did to Harvick at Bristol, he basically ran the same line as him and took his line away. He sideswiped him on the way by, but it was really in retaliation to something that happened previously. This is, who knows? It could have been Chase spinning out intentionally to cost Larson the race. It could have just been that he had damage. And
Zach,
Larson potentially did it to himself by putting Elliott in the wall. What's up?
Only Mr. Hendrick himself knows.
You know more than me when it comes to history of this kind of stuff. So I actually don't even know this at all. So like, has there been a past history? Like, is there some sort of penalty if a driver does that on purpose, or how does that work? I don't even know.
So you don't know about Spingate?
No, I do not. Like, I'm not NASCAR. I know a lot like right now, but post 2016, pre 2016. I don't know.
Let's just say you just basically, this could be a podcast of its own that we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
This could be an episode of its own.
Now let's clarify. Spingate 2013 at Richmond when Clint Boyer spun, it kind of cost MWR as an organization. Like they were never the same after, and they closed at the end of 2015. It cost the Napa sponsorship. It cost Martin Truex's ride, actually for the better, I think, because he went on to Furniture Row, and that's where he won a championship. But to your point, I guess, to kind of summarize, that's kind of a big deal, especially if NASCAR could prove it, especially if there's big implications, because this was, Richmond 2013, this was about getting into the playoffs, or what was called the Chase at the time. So there were implications to that, and it kind of affected the outcome. So that's why NASCAR had to step in big time. It was not the first, and it was not the only time that intentional spinning was a part. I remember Dale Jr. doing it at Bristol to stay on the lead lap, and he went on and win the race. This was 2004. He did that. Certainly not the first time. It will not be the last time.
Yeah. All right, probably should go in here because we're already pretty late in this thing. We do have some topics coming up and some bigger ones. So next up, we do have here, do we see Colton Herta going to F1 with Andretti in 2024? Jordan, what do you think?
Well, first off, over the weekend, it was announced that Andretti's put all the paperwork and the financial plans into the FIA that they're going to become a team in Formula One in 2024. I definitely could see Colton Herta being their top driver. However, I don't know if I feel like Colton's going to want to do it in terms of it's a Formula One ride. Who wouldn't? But at the same time, you got to keep that IndyCar program alive as well as the sponsorship that Andretti brings in for there. So I must say send it in terms of Herta going to F1. I think he definitely would want to if he got the opportunity. Any driver, I think, would. But I don't know how it would hurt Andretti's IndyCar program if Colton Herta leaves the sport of IndyCar.
Yeah, I would sort of say the same thing there. I think. Did they say 2024 that's supposed to kind of okay?
Yeah.
I think if Herta gets a championship in these next 2 years,
I was just gonna ask Jordan about that.
I think it's maybe 80% at that point that he's going.
I was about to ask Jordan, do you think if Colton Herta doesn't get a championship this year or next year, does he still have that shot? Or would it be like, okay, we might need to go somewhere else where we can perform more? Or would that, or maybe he doesn't perform the greatest in IndyCar, maybe put him on our Formula One team and put somebody else in that seat? How would that work out, you think?
It's tough because Colton's already proved that he's worthy of a championship in IndyCar. I mean, we've seen him on the street circuit, even last year at St. Petersburg. He absolutely dominated, didn't even put one foot wrong or anything. So it shows that Colton's capable of doing it. However, the one thing that makes me feel like that he's yet ready for F1 is what I saw at Nashville last year when he was in the lead towards the end of the race and he made a simple mistake of just locking up the brakes and going straight into the wall. You normally don't see that from F1 drivers. And if you do, it's a very rare occurrence. But this isn't the first time Colton's made a mistake like that. So that's the only thing to me that's concerning if Colton's actually going to go. I think, yes, you could go, see him go just to prove an American in the sport. But for his career, it might be better off if he stays in IndyCar just so he can build his legacy on winning a championship. Because don't get me wrong, I think the kid's only, 21 years old? He's still got a long, long journey in IndyCar and racing in general. So to see him go at this stage might be a little too early, but to see him later on in his career is a high possibility.
Yeah, I've got a couple points, I guess. I think Herta, of course, over the course of last year, we saw very, in my opinion, minimal mistakes from Herta. Now, some that cost him pretty big, problems, I guess, for the championship contention. But I also think if I was Herta in this situation, and whenever Andretti goes over and they can find a guy that could maybe race, I might actually even wait a year and see how the team performs, because of course we would all love to see like an American in Formula One, but if the team's bad and he goes over there and he's just, I would really hope that Andretti would do really good in Formula One, but new teams joining Formula One, for example, Haas. I mean, American team. I mean, based in America. Most of the, stuff is in Europe, but I don't know. That could be a risk in his. Now if he goes to Formula One and he's having a terrible year, he's just wasted a year. Personally, in my opinion, if he can't, get the results.
Okay, throw it to Evan. Send it or pull the reins.
Send it. I think no matter what they've got Colton. I mean, he's got the backing money wise and talent wise, so there's no really reason not to get him in the seat. And also, I mean, also my other point was, it just depends how he does in these next 2 years. I think he's a great driver. I think he'll do fine and get the seat no matter what. But my other point was going to be that I think for the second driver that they pick, I think it's going to be Pato O'Ward.
Ooh.
I think
That's interesting.
I don't think it's going to be another Andretti driver. I think McLaren is going to. Here's my prediction. I think that Andretti is going to have a strong relationship with McLaren in F1. They're going to share. It's like Haas with Ferrari. But I think they're going to share resources and stuff like that, and they're going to put Pato O'Ward, the McLaren junior driver, in.
Well, I should also point out too that it was confirmed by Mario that their engine supplier is going to be Renault as well.
I was just about to say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Andretti and McLaren have already had a relationship in the past. In 2017, Alonso raced partially with Andretti and
right.
McLaren.
And Pato was on Andretti's Indy Lights team.
And
so that's actually a pretty good prediction.
I think from McLaren's perspective too, it's a good idea to have this McLaren junior driver in a Formula 1 car. I think it's a good idea from them as well, because I feel like for McLaren at least, the Formula 1 team and IndyCar team I feel like it's getting closer and closer every year now. So it's like I think it's a good move for them actually.
I wonder what it would shake up if Award stayed with McLaren but was brought over to Andretti for the Formula 1 team, and then say he comes back to IndyCar. What do you guys think that would look like? Do you think he would stay with McLaren?
For IndyCar?
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's a possibility.
I think you would. Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts.
So
there's just a lot of there's not.
Before we get to Zach's take, I want to also one more person.
Nate hasn't gone either.
Nate has a take too, but I want to also go back to Evan's point on the second driver. I don't think it would actually be Pato O'Ward, but I do think.
So before you say it, I
think you know who I'm talking about.
The F2 champion.
No,
the
Piastri.
No, he's Alpine. He's an Alpine.
That's Renault though, isn't it? He's a Renault.
It is Renault.
It is Renault engine. Yeah, you're right. But I also think that the second reserve driver would be Oliver Askew.
Ooh,
that's true. Because he is now a reserve driver. He's in Formula E right now with Andretti, and he is now a reserve driver for their IndyCar program.
That's a good prediction.
So I think Oliver Askew would actually be the next step person in line for that program. He actually might be ahead of Colton. Who knows?
Let's put Grosjean back in Formula 1. I don't think Grosjean would want to go back to Formula 1.
I don't think so.
I feel like he's having too much fun right now in IndyCar.
Okay, Nate, so Senator pull the reins. Yeah. What do we think? Colton Herta, where's he going? Is he staying in IndyCar, F1? What do you think?
I think he's going to go F1.
Personally, unless Formula 1 with these new regulations just becomes an absolute, incredible racing or something, I would like to see him personally in F1, but I think I would rather watch him race in North America in IndyCar at the Indy 500.
For sure.
And I mean, of course, he could race in F1 and still do the Indy 500 too, But I guess if Monaco's
you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
Monaco
I forgot about that.
The week before, isn't it? The week before now.
I don't know if they moved the schedule that way. I know it's always been the same day, but I know this past year they did shift the schedule to the week before. I'd have to check to see if it is like that. But
so back to Nate.
I just say fully send it though, because I mean Andretti's gonna want to have at least one driver that he's really close to. I mean, they're starting this new team that could be like, I don't know who said it. Someone here said it. It could be an absolute waste of a year. I think you're going to want someone that's really close. So I think Colton Herta is a good option. Second, we're talking about second driver, though. I think he has good options. But overall, though, we're talking about Herta, though. I think it's a full-on send. I think he's ready for it, but, we'll see. I think he needs to get a championship.
That was a confirmed ready.
I was saying, I think he's ready. Actually, you know what? He needs an IndyCar championship first. Sorry, if you can't get an IndyCar championship when you're favored, these next 2 years probably, and it's gonna be tough to compete in Formula 1, I think. But when you all have different cars as well, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
I don't think you need an IndyCar championship, to be honest.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
Hard disagree.
Zach?
So I'm going to say send it if he wins a championship. So for context, Michael Andretti won the 1991 kart at the time, PPG IndyCar Championship, and came up second to Bobby Rahal 1992. Then 1993 he went to F1 with McLaren, and it was a disaster. He had one podium towards the end of the year, and then he got axed after that. Truthfully, I think he actually had a lot more potential to be good in McLaren. But it was kind of I think the damage was already done. He came back to IndyCar, ran a year at Chip Ganassi, then was at Newman Haas for the majority of the rest of his career. Also, fast forward, Alex Zanardi ran for Ganassi, was Rookie of the Year 96, 97, 98, wins both championships, goes to F1, and it was a nightmare. I think the bare minimum is you need to win a championship before you go over there. Just because you've seen champions be in kart and then they go to F1 and struggle. But then you have guys like Juan Montoya that dominate kart.
I was just about to say that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then you go and, he was in the right seat, I think. He was with Williams. Williams at the time was pretty good. He had Ralf Schumacher as a teammate. So it really depends. I mean, with these new regulations, I think we'll really be able to see what it would be like for a new team. Because I've heard people say, like, oh, yeah, like in terms of aero, they're a little bit more comparable to Champ car than an F1 car.
Yeah.
That could be completely wrong. I don't know. But if that's the case, that would be great for somebody like Herta. In terms of a second driver, I think it would be, and I don't think it would happen, but I think it would be super cool to see Grosjean come back, have a true send-off year, just a 1-year like retirement tour, and for him to retire from motorsport. I don't think he would go from IndyCar back to F1 though. So like somebody like Pato or Askew would be really good. Or if they wanted to pull from F2 or whatever, maybe they don't pull from the IndyCar paddock. That's also an option.
See, another one that I feel like adds a little bit of decision making to this is we saw as another Andretti driver right now, and that's Rossi. When he was racing over in F1 with Haas, he didn't do the best at all when he was running over with Haas. And granted, this is Aussie.
He was with Manor Racing.
Manor, yeah.
Was it? Yeah. But don't get me wrong, it's like one of the back end teams in the paddock. And then he comes over to Andretti and does actually pretty decent, but is yet to still win an IndyCar championship over here. So
that's a hot topic, not just for him going to F1, but that's a hot topic
for Santino Ferrucci too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a hot topic because
Ferrucci already had his time in F2 and apparently he blew it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying about Rossi is that's a hot topic because you guys remember 2019 when he was rumored to go to Penske and leave Andretti, and they gave him apparently a pretty good contract, and he stayed. And then Andretti fell off the face of the earth like the next year. This there's very real potential that Rossi's not even at Andretti the year that they go to F1. Just being honest, I don't know.
Do you think if that happens, Zach? Do you think that's more like Andretti's choice or Rossi's choice?
I feel like Rossi wants to go to a team where he's competitive, and I don't think he feels competitive at Andretti right now.
No, let's be honest. No racer in F1 wants to be on the worst team on the grid. The only reason why they're able to deal with it is the amount of paycheck money they're taking.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here though, because this is we're getting really long here. Next up here, this is a good topic. Does Nikita Mazepin keep his F1 ride with Haas?
Okay, so before we jump into that, I want to lay some stuff out there because we got to add context to this because this is a multi-layered issue.
This is big here.
This is pretty big. It's actually kind of a big deal. So, for context, Nikita Mazepin's sponsor is his father's company, which is tied to the Russian government. He's technically under contract as a pay driver. In addition, the Russian Grand Prix in the past week has been canceled. Mazepin's sponsor was removed from both Haas cars for preseason testing. The FIA's rule states that both cars have the same livery if they're on the same team. So that's why Mick Schumacher's car also had that sponsorship on his car. Also, a friendly reminder that Mick has a ride from the Ferrari Academy, so that's why he has the seat at Haas that's paid for. Ukraine's Motorsports Federation asked the FIA to ban all Russian F1 drivers. Also, the FIA on Tuesday is having a meeting with the World Motorsport Council to discuss the ongoing crisis in Ukraine, and further updates will be given following the meeting. So this meeting would have concluded before this episode drops. So this could be a big deal. We could see Mazepin lose his ride. He could still have his ride. So, yes, send it or pull the reins. Should Mazepin be removed from his ride?
Hold on. Would send it be keep him or
send it as he gets dumped from the ride, pull the reins as he gets to keep the ride.
Okay.
Let's not start with Nate.
Let's not. Hey, let's start with Reid.
No, can we start with me? I'll keep it short and sweet.
Innocent.
I'll keep it short and sweet.
Start with the guys that are going to keep it short because
I'm gonna keep it super short. I'm gonna keep it super short.
All right, there you go.
Trust. Yes, I am. Trust. Okay. Trust. Anyways, so send it is him going.
Send it as he gets booted.
Yeah, he's leaving.
Pull the reins as he stays.
The only reason that I personally have been I've not been really. Mazepin's got a lot of heat for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. I personally don't think Okay, first of all, he sucks as a driver. Obviously, he sucks. Okay, I get it. He's awful. Like he's one of the worst drivers. The car sucks. He sucks. It's a whole combination. But I think he gets a lot of hate for not no reason, but too much hate. So I've always been like kind of defending him in a way. But this. I think honestly, I wouldn't be like if he loses his seat, so what? I really could care less. But I don't want him to lose his seat purely because he's Russian. Because that's the biggest thing is that Ukraine's asking for Russian drivers to be banned. Not anything because his ties. It's just because he's Russian. That's the only thing. That's the only thing I'm upset about. Now, if he doesn't have the money, then yeah. If he, But again, the only thing I'd be upset about if he gets banned is purely because of what country he's from. That's the only reason I'd be upset.
So before we debate this, let's go around the room and let everybody speak their piece. Evan, let's toss it to you. Send it or pull the reins.
I completely agree with Nate. I can't say send it or pull the reins because as a person, I've actually heard that he's a really good guy. And from the other drivers on the grid, he could be putting on a front. I don't know. But I've heard that he is a pretty genuine guy and he's nice and has good intentions and everything. He comes from a rich family. You can't control that. He's a bad driver, but you can't get to Formula One without being a decent driver.
That's fair.
Yeah, he's bad. He might be the worst driver on the grid, but he's still won F2 races. He's going to be a good driver. So I think it's kind of crappy for the Ukrainian motorsports, whatever, to say that they want to ban all Russian drivers. Sure, I get you can ban their sponsors, whatever, but don't ban the drivers. That's kind of crappy of them to do because they don't have anything to do with them.
Yeah, just to add something really, really quick here. I know you said you wanted to go around the room, but it's like it's perfect to this. Same thing with the Olympics. They didn't ban Olympic athletes, the Russian athletes, but they banned like the flag, and so now it's like ROC, whatever it is. I think that's a thing they can compromise with. The same thing in the Olympics. They don't ban the athletes who have nothing to do with it, but they blame what they're representing, which. Nikita Mazepin obviously representing his sponsor from his dad, which is ties to the government. So get rid of that, but I think Nikita should stay though.
Well, we go around the room.
Okay. I just wanted to not clarify, but just add on to that fact. I think last year, what I remember is the entire reason that car has like, a motif of a Russian flag on it is because they didn't allow him to run with like the Russian flag by his name. So
really,
that I think so, and I think that kind of course plays into the Olympics point. So that was where Haas kind of, and I'm sure it was because of the sponsor too. Put the Russian flag. The dad saying put the Russian flag on the car or whatever, because he's really the one giving Haas all their money. He's kind of the one keeping them afloat. Pretty much. Haas is gonna do what he asks, but.
Yeah. Well, according to Gunther Stein, they could survive without that funding.
Yes,
he was asked at an interview. I don't know if that's true or not. Because it's kind of funny because, they said they'd be taking all the sponsor livery, or I thought they might take text, but they take the whole livery off. They took the red and the blue as well.
Yeah.
So now it's a plain white car.
So white.
That was so that for sure was a Russian flag. They never really confirmed whatever, but that was for sure Russian flag. Then.
So Nate was pull the reins, right? Evan was
kind of.
Evan was.
It depends why he gets banned. If he's banned purely because the Ukraine's asking them to get banned, then yeah. But if it's because of funding, then yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Evan,
I'm the same.
Same. Okay, Reid.
This is what I would say.
Reid stands up. Send it. Oh, sorry.
I know he got in a lot of heat before last year because of the things. That's really where this hate grew from a lot of these people on social media. And I think, you compare the results of Schumacher and Mazepin, and they really both didn't do good. I think it was pretty obvious that Schumacher did better over the course of the year. He was really always finishing ahead of Mazepin. But Mazepin spun a lot, but Schumacher had his fair share of wrecks too. At Monaco, at Saudi Arabia. I think it was Mick Schumacher at Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it was Saudi.
Yep. So.
And keep in mind that Nikita also had a cracked chassis for a couple races, and I can't remember what period that was. I think it was later in the season, but he wrecked his primary car, and his secondary car was not as good as his. I remember
it was cracked, like the tub.
I think something with the tub was just off. I think it wasn't as. But, it was significantly slower than his first car. They said.
Yeah,
that's possible.
And I just like Nate said, I don't really think he deserves all the hate he's got. Of course, he's not performing as well as Schumacher is, but the guy, his dad involved in the close with the Russian government. Even if Ukraine wanted to ban him, I don't really think. I would like to see him stay personally. The guy wants to race and he wants to be an F1 driver, and give him one more year and see what happens. If he doesn't perform well, then you can boot him. But
what upsets me with this is it's not Ukraine's. It's not. They're not asking for to ban Nikita Mazepin. They're saying ban Russian drivers.
Yeah,
that's
and
obviously
also
to me that they're basing it on the premise of their nationality, not of their ties.
Yes,
which is a problem.
Exactly. So say I don't even know. So say Sebastian Vettel, right? Yeah. Say he has zero connection to Russia, zero funding, blah blah blah. But say he just happened to be Russian, he'd be gone too then in this scenario.
Yeah,
right. I mean, it doesn't matter.
That was the premise, yes.
Yeah, I think maybe if they would include it, he has ties to Russia, but they're not saying Nikita Mazepin. They're saying, all of. So I don't know about that one.
I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah.
You also have to think Is the only reason they're keeping Mazepin because of the money he's bringing in? Because if it is, if that sponsor's gone, if their sponsor's gone, then they're not going to keep him. So even if the Ukraine thing happened, like I said, I'd like to see him in F1 one more year, but I don't think it would happen. I still think even without the Ukraine thing, he would go either way.
I think you answered your own question there. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you answered your own question,
but I think he's going to go.
So, Jordan, toss it to you. What you got?
So, it's kind of a difficult one. It's a difficult situation, actually, because I think, ever since Nikita's joined the Haas organization, it's been nothing but bad backlash on the Haas team. And, I mean, you look at it now. He's been in the organization for 2 years. Last year, he had the incident with this one girl that he had. That incident with before the season started. Now, before this season started, he's got the Russian backlash that's happening with the Ukraine. So, I think in this situation, I wouldn't want to see a driver get taken out of a ride by any circumstances, especially like this. I think it's totally unfair to see that happen. But, if he's got the ties with the sponsor, which is obviously his dad that's funding it, but the sponsor is also tied with the Russian government, it makes sense to see if he goes away. It would make sense. So, do I want to see it? No. But from probable cause, it's likely to happen. So, I don't want to say Sunday, but I have to say Sunday, I feel like, in this case.
Yeah. I think you make great points, but I really just think it's because Nikita doesn't. I mean, it's tough. They just drop all the sponsorship of it the whole season. They run this plain white liver they ran. Then I don't think it's an issue. I don't think Ukraine even has I don't think they can really make I don't think they can really make an argument then, because just being Russian doesn't really. mean anything. I don't know. I mean, it can go either way for sure, but I don't really know.
Like, if he had no ties to the sponsorship, I would agree that he stays in the sport. It would be terrible to get taken away. But because he has to tie with his dad's sponsorship, which is tied with the Russian government, that's what leads me to believe that he's going.
Yeah, half of these drivers' money is dirty money. Let's be honest.
That's true.
Let's be honest. It's sketchy money.
So I will say, if you take all the context that we listed at the beginning of this conversation, if you take that at face value without, without adding in some of the deals, like with what Nate said about, Ukraine Motorsports Federation asking all Russians to be banned, I think at face value, I feel like send it. Now, I will say, this is strictly from the funding front, from the fact that, his dad's company has ties to the Russian government. And if that funding is pulled, he was there as a pay driver to begin with. So in my mind, if he has no funding, Haas has no seat for him. That's where I'm coming from that. Now, in terms of if he's removed from F1 or from Haas just on the front of being Russian, that's totally not right, because there's still Russian athletes competing all over the world, and they're not being banned because they're Russian. So I guess my point is, if his funding is pulled, I don't think he's going to get to keep his seat because of that. But I don't think he should be removed from F1 because of it.
I think
there is also another potential possibility that he gets to keep his ride and the money that he brings in stays. It's just there's no branding on the car.
Yeah.
Which I think is also a very good possibility. Really, what it boils down to is how much of a connection, how much money is coming from the Russian government that is being invested in his dad's company.
I think really though, for me in this, I'm gonna say pull the reins if the FIA bans Russian drivers.
Yes.
In that case, pull the reins. If it's 100%. The lack of funding by Haas, then you got to send it. So that's where I'm splitting it. If a decision comes out, say like a couple of days from now or whatever, tomorrow, whatever it is, that it's from the FIA, then that's just that sucks. I don't like that at all. It's kind of like, dang, that's tough for him. But if it's by Haas, they say, and their reasoning is the funding, then what are you going to do about it? And that's a send it, because you don't have the money, and you're a paid driver. If you weren't a paid driver, then that's a whole different story. Then why are you out? But then then that's a send it moment. But that's why I'm so in the middle. I think more than likely, according to Gunther's son, they have the funding even if they lose sponsorship. So I think if it will happen, it will happen because of Ukraine, and they're asking them to ban him. So
to which we would either see Giovinazzi or we would see Pietro Fittipaldi step in.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Who do you think is going to fill in for him then?
It'd probably be Fittipaldi with Giovinazzi going to Formula E.
Yeah.
See, I was going to say I thought it would be – I would have guessed it would be Gio stepping up, and it would be Fittipaldi as the reserve driver.
He was the reserve driver when I think it was it Mick or someone who had COVID at the time? Or was it Nikita?
This was 2020, and it would have been –
Grosjean and Magnussen were the two drivers.
Oh, it was when Grosjean got injured. That's right, for the incident. He wasn't able to come back to the second Bahrain race. It was Fittipaldi who filled the seat.
Yeah, and then Jack Aitken fill in for George Russell, and George Russell for
Cool.
Alrighty, yeah. That's gonna do it for me though. I gotta do homework. So you guys want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Last and final topic we'll get to, and that's the NTT IndyCar Series race at St. Petersburg. We'll wrap this up pretty quick. So Scotty Mclaughlin gets his first win for his IndyCar career. The Aussie comes over from V8 Supercars and wins, what do you know, Blue on the street course.
Yeah. Thought it was really neat. It was a fun race to watch. Watched it with the guy who just left, Zach Buchanan, and Evan Stammer as well. Sorry, Evan's looking. I forgot. And Evan Stammer. It was a fun race. I like seeing a new winner. The first race of the season, a new winner. It's always cool to see. It was a good battle at the end too. It wasn't the most exciting race, I thought, the whole thing, but there was moments though, and I thought it was overall, not a bad race, and a pretty exciting finish. So I liked it though.
Oh, Evan Stammer. It says your video has been disabled due to internet quality issues.
He's still in here.
Okay, so I I really liked the race. I think it was awesome to have McLaughlin when he came, right out of the gate, and he was fast and qualifying, and then he got the pole, and then he won.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the trend kind of around St. Petersburg. You get the pole. I think that happened with Hurdle last year. He got the pole, he won. McLaughlin got the pole. He won in Pelot. Came up just short. He came from 10th to 2nd, which was a pretty good drive there. But I think I was surprised Pelot wasn't able to get by him, considering the fact that McLaughlin had a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Calderon kind of got out of his way, but DeFrancesco was running right in front of him, and Pelot was catching up. So I kind of expected for some reason for Pelot to make a move or to at least try a move somewhere. But in the end, he kind of stayed behind him, which is, of course, smart for the championship. You're not going to wreck yourself out of the first race if you're in second, sort of thing.
DeFrancesco they let the leaders go by, but they were really holding up Will Power in third. That was more of an entertainment than the actual battle. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Coming. He was coming.
He was. Yeah.
DeFrancesco, though, just not moving at all. It was the funniest thing. I'm going to be honest.
I'm honestly surprised it took Will Power forever. Actually, I should say Alex Pelot to the last lap to start using push to pass. I figured he would have used it a lot sooner just to get a run, especially seeing that, one, his teammate Jimmy Johnson was in front, and two, DeFrancesco was ahead as well.
Well, I think it was because fuel was such an issue. I think that because they told him coming to the white flag, like, full fuel, full everything, use what you need. So I think they had him turned down for those last few laps leading up to it. Which is surprising because I think McLaughlin pitted a lap before Pelot.
So he did, because I remember Pelot doing the overcut.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I would have thought, McLaughlin would have been in a much tighter situation on fuel. Now, he could have saved much more at the beginning of the run. So that's also a potential possibility, I guess.
We didn't have a bozo of the week this week, sadly, so I just wrote down Russia. That's always my favorite part when I come on here. So I looked at it, it's a nothing. So I was like, what's a bozo this week?
We could realistically, we could say Kyle Larson, we could say Chase Elliott, we could say
Kyle Larson spotter.
We could say Nikita Mazepin, even though we can't say Nikita.
No, he's not.
No, we can't say Nikita. Unfortunately, you can't use it this time.
Who could we
say?
I
think Russia's overall good. In terms of racing,
the USF race from Friday.
Oh, good. This might get too personal.
We can go there.
Yeah, the last lap.
Did you also
Evan's shaking his head, guys. I don't think we want to go there.
Speaking of Russia,
he was teammates with Thomas last year, so.
Speaking of Russia
and USF.
In USF,
Reid, what?
Did you?
What? How do you tie Russian?
Did you see? No, hold on. Did you see the YouTube comments about the race?
That's so funny.
People were freaking out, thinking they were racing in Russia.
Yeah.
And wrote in, he's like, people, we're racing in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Dude, funniest thing, bro. People, it was all caps. Yeah.
It was during
I gotta
race,
look this
Jordan.
What?
It was Ahmed who crashed out.
Oh yeah.
And so everybody was like, "Wow, why are they racing in Russia? This is such a joke!" Like,
yeah. There was a couple comments that were like, "Is this?" There was a couple comments where
turned 9, yeah.
There was comments like, "Is this similar to Formula 4 or Formula 3?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, interesting." And it's some random comments, but I know there was so many questions in the comments, and all of a sudden, they wrote it in types in all caps. We're racing in St. Petersburg, Florida.
I gotta go back.
They typed that at least 10 times. It was hilarious. Yeah. I remember Grant. No, I learned it because Grant was sending it to me. Grant was sending it to our racing group chat, and he just kept sending it. I'm like, "What the heck is this?" It was the funniest thing.
I do want to ask you: did you, by any chance, see Miles's onboard?
I did see a little bit of it, and I can talk to you about that off camera if you'd like me to.
Was that about the accident?
It was, yes. It was about the accident.
Should we talk
why,
about
Jordan?
that?
You got something to hide, Jordan?
I got nothing to hide. No, I wasn't a part of the wreck. He's just my
teammate. Let it all out. Clip it. Let it all out. Come on, let it all out.
All right, let's go with the predictions now for this week's race that's going to be happening in Las Vegas for the NASCAR race. Let's recap the predictions from last week. I went with Alex Palou win the race. Unfortunately, he came up with a short second. Nate and Evan went with Colton Herta going back-to-back to win this race. That did not happen. Zach went with Joseph Newgarden getting the win. Well, he ended up finishing 13th. And Ryan Bierke, who was on the show with us, went with Scott Dixon to win the race, and he wasn't really much of a factor in that race.
Yeah.
So
that was...
now we have NASCAR going to Las Vegas this weekend. So, guys, predictions. Who wins the race? And come up with a very conspiracy-type prediction, which can be anything random or anything vague you want.
So I'm gonna say it's gonna be. I'm stuck between Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. I want to say,
they've
always had it out for each other at Vegas,
it's the Pennzoil 400. Joey Logano drives the Pennzoil car. I'm going to Joey Logano winning the race, and our bizarre prediction. I'm going to say there's going to be a red flag from a crash. There's going to be a red flag. They've had those before.
Who's the guy? There's one guy got on top of the wall in Vegas last year.
Yeah,
or something.
It was a Rick Ware car, of course, that ramped a tire and hit the wall.
Yeah.
Toss to Evan. Predictions. What you got?
So, my boy Joey. I got to go with Joey too. I've always liked him.
Yeah.
He's always done well at Vegas too.
Yeah.
He's always done good. Bizarre prediction. I think. Listen. Larson and Elliot are gonna. They're not done. Their beef is still a thing.
I thought about taking that pick.
Yeah, and Elliot's going to make a controversy. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna say that Elliot's going to
retaliate.
Spin Larson.
All right.
See, I was gonna predict
for that one as well. Yeah. I was gonna say they're gonna have sizable contact, like not a little tap. They're gonna have, not like he not like he gets in his quarter panel, not like he hits the back bumper. Like there's like some serious contact. Like it's a good sizable contact. I don't know. Like, that's kind of. I don't know if I use that one now though. But yeah.
Toss it to Reid. Reid predictions.
Yeah, I want to go last.
I would go with Joey Logano. I used to like Joey Logano when I was.
All you people like Logano.
But here's the thing:
we're either all getting fantasy points this week or nobody is.
There is one driver that I was really rooting for in the Daytona 500, and I would want to see Martin Truex Jr. win. I'm going with Martin Truex Jr.
Wow, he switched it up. That's a good pick. Truex at a mile.
No, honestly, that's a good pick for this track. Yeah,
Truex is really good on 1.5 tracks.
And I don't know.
Bizarre prediction. I mean, it could be something obscure, like there's 3 Fords in the top 3, or something. It doesn't have to be something crazy.
I got good picks.
I don't know. Somebody is going to crash in the pit lane.
Crash in the pit lane. All right.
Define a crash.
Brandon Jones.
Do they hit somebody? How we define that?
Spin.
Yeah, spin or run into another car. Okay. Maybe Chase Elliott dumps Kyle Larson in the pits.
That would be so fun.
That'd be interesting. All right.
As long as they don't trade spotters, it'll be fine.
I'll go next. So I'm actually going to go with this guy because he's going to return back to victory lane for the first time in a while, and that's Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick wins.
That's a good
at
pick.
Las Vegas.
He's due for it.
And exactly. And for my bizarre pick, I'm going to say Joe Gibbs Racing has 3 of their cars in the top 10 in the finishing order.
So are we saying just 3?
Just 3 cars.
And only 3?
3 of their 4 cars finish in the top 10 of Joe Gibbs Racing.
That's fair. I like it.
All right,
well,
then.
Fellas, it's been another banger.
It's my turn.
We haven't done it yet.
All right. Hey, it was great banger, guys.
It threw me off. We didn't go around the room like we normally do.
Well, Nate hasn't been here for the past couple episodes, so we're so used to him not being here.
Yeah,
Nate wanted to get out of this earlier and say he had homework, so I say we skip him.
Dude, tomorrow's March. You might not see me for a while. No, okay. I think I have a decent pick. So I think so I'm between two right now, and I'm gonna pick it right now. Kyle Busch is one of mine.
Okay.
And another one is actually Denny Hamlin, who has always been decent at Vegas. I think he could come back and get a win, but I don't know if he will though. I'm gonna go with Hamlin. Just why not? Go different.
Okay.
And I think my kind of crazier one. I don't know if you guys are gonna allow this, but I think it's a good one though. Daniel Suarez back-to-back top fives.
All right.
Finished fourth last race. I think he get in our top five, and that's kind of I don't think he's done that ever. This is his best finish. I'm pretty sure, fourth. I was a little wrong with that.
So that's actually a really good prediction because in the first two races, 19 drivers have had a top 10. 19 different drivers. Eric Almirola is the only person to have two top 10s this year.
Yeah, Daniel Suarez this season and like the last couple seasons too has been one of my favorite drivers. Like when they started with Trackhouse Racing, like I was like, okay, I never really had a favorite driver or team in NASCAR, but since Trackhouse was made new, I'm like, why not be a fan of them? So I really want to see him do well, and I think he will. And after that fourth place finish, I think he'll carry the momentum into Vegas, and I think he'll get another top five.
He's clearly
one thing I do want to add.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Zach.
He's clearly a good driver and has proven it by being the Xfinity champ, and really hasn't had the opportunities to succeed in the other rides that he's been in. I don't think he was really valued as a top-tier driver in the previous rides he's had, and now that he's at Trackhouse, and now that they have the new car and everybody's kind of on a level playing field, I think he really has an opportunity to actually win a race this year.
Yeah, the one thing I'm glad to see back is the parity of drivers able to race for not only the wins, but top fives and top tens. I feel like I haven't seen that really since like the 2005, 2006, or 2007 era. So it's really nice to see guys like Tyler Reddick, Stenhouse, Suarez, or even Eric Jones battling for the lead, or even top fives here and there.
So that statistic that I dropped, the 19 drivers with top five or top tens, that has not been done since 1973. It's been almost 50 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
NASCAR, baby.
The more you know. Well, guys, it's been another banger. Reid, first off, thanks for being here, bud. Where can we find you on social media platforms?
Man, I'm plugging myself. All right. On Instagram.
No pressure.
Don't gloat yourself or anything.
At Reid Sweeney 9 on Instagram. I think that's about it. That's really the only thing I post on.
Man, we gotta have.
Hold on. Let me leak his Snapchat real quick.
Do not leak my Snapchat.
we need some Reid energy.
All right. Well, I can't see it. All I see on my phone is Sweeney Hunt Jr. That's his name on my Discord too. Is Sweeney Hunt Jr.
Hey, it's been another great episode, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Around.